Everything I've been taught, that's where you start. You start with the quarterback. So you evaluate them every year. I think it's always on the table. It's a good crop this year. It's a good group of quarterbacks. I think it's a little deeper than it has been in the past. It will be interesting, but yeah, sure. Here's what I've been taught, Brian, that when you have a legendary quarterback and you take his heir apparent in the draft before that quarterback, believes his time is up, he gets really mad.
You better preach, Greeny.
That generally does not end well.
Speak on it. You better
Started
preach.
with John Elway and Tommy Maddox and a million times since. So I'll start with you, Fowler, my insider extraordinaire. You think the Packers are seriously looking at drafting a quarterback in the first round?
Only if a guy they have highly rated, whether it's Tua or Justin Herbert, falls deep to them in the first round. But they have too many needs. They might lose two of their better tackles. Aaron Rodgers desperately needs weapons. He's got good football up. I do not expect that. I think day 2, second or third round, maybe a guy like Jacob Eason if he falls to them, or Jake Fromm.
What do you think, Greg McElroy, as you sit and evaluate these quarterbacks? The Tuas of the world are not going to be available unless they're pulling off some huge trade, which I think Aaron would probably just walk out the door at that point.
Cancel the season.
Is there someone they might get in a later round who you think is an interesting bet?
You know, I hear him. He's saying, I kind of like this draft. I'll be honest with you, I don't really like this draft for quarterbacks from a depth standpoint. Yeah, I like Eason. I like his upside, but he doesn't have a ton of game reps. Frankly, if you were to evaluate his entire body of work in college, he was maybe slightly an underachiever a little bit. Jake Fromm, another good example, the Georgia quarterback. I don't think he has a high enough ceiling. I think he's Matt Barkley. I think he's a career backup. Probably played 12 years, but he's a career backup. So if you could find value, say at 62 where they're picking, or at 94, and you find a guy with a really high ceiling that you could develop, you have to pull the trigger because Aaron Rodgers' feelings are none of his problem. My problem, if I'm the GM of the Packers, is to secure what's in the best interest long-term for the organization. Having that bridge successor quarterback has been a really good recipe for them in the past.
Here is my thing. Give the Hall of Famer some help. Don't give him an additional reason to retire. It doesn't make any sense. Like Aaron Rodgers, 51 touchdowns, 6 interceptions the last 2 years. I don't care how you dice it. I don't care how you slice it. His receivers, they need to give him some help. His leading receiver didn't have 1,000 yards. His second best receiver was a running back. So let's put everything in context. Let's put everything in perspective. And Greeny, you hit the nail on the head when you said, you look at Alex Smith, you look at Pat Mahomes. Alex Smith was gone a year later. You look at Andrew Luck, you look at Peyton Manning, you saw what happened there. Oh, and look no further, Packers fan, than in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. If you draft a replacement, the clock starts ticking.
And I would point out, Hembo put that note up there that I hope that you saw, that Rodgers is now older than Favre was at the time when they took Rodgers. But the difference is, Favre was talking about retiring every single year. He wasn't coming to training camp. Favre was sending every conceivable signal that he was done. Rodgers is not doing that.
Right, but see, quarterbacks have now found a way to play into their 40s. We're seeing it with Tom Brady and Drew Brees.
Exactly.
Aaron Rodgers has got at least 3 good years left.
At least, I mean, people saw Rodgers struggle some this year and just, oh, he's terrible, he's terrible. The dude still had 6 interceptions one game, or 6 touchdowns one game, 4 touchdowns 2 weeks later. He's still a bad man.
Correct. The debate is not whether Rodgers is still a terrific quarterback. It's whether we're comparing him to himself at his apex. He may not have had that kind of year. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube.
For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app.
And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus. We'll see you there.